Imagine a company hailed as the Enron of India, a shining beacon of the IT industry, suddenly collapsing like a house of cards. In January 2009, the world witnessed one of the most shocking corporate frauds in history, the Satyam Scam. This wasn't just a story of numbers being fudged. It was a tale of betrayal, deceit, and the collapse of trust in corporate governance. How did one of India's most celebrated IT companies turn into a cautionary tale for businesses worldwide? Let's unravel the rise and fall of Satyam Computers and its mastermind, Ramalinga Raju. Founded in 1987 by Ramalinga Raju, Satyam Computer Services Limited (SCL) was one of India's leading IT and outsourcing firms. Based in Hyderabad, the company provided software development and IT solutions to clients across the globe, including Fortune 500 companies. By the early 2000s, Satyam was a star in India's booming IT sector. It was listed on the New York Stock Exchange, NYSE, and boasted revenues of over 12,000 Indian rupees crore, approximately $2 billion. Satyam won numerous accolades for its innovation and corporate governance practices, which ironically became its undoing later. However, behind this glittering success lay a web of lies that would eventually unravel spectacularly. On January 7, 2009, Ramalinga Raju dropped a bombshell that sent shockwaves through corporate India. In a letter addressed to Satyam's board, he confessed to manipulating the company's accounts for years. The scale of the fraud was staggering. Indian rupee 7,000 crore, 70 billion Indian rupees, worth of fictitious assets had been created on paper. In his confession, Raju admitted that he had inflated profits and revenue figures to maintain investor confidence and ensure stock prices remained high. He described it as a ride on a tiger, where getting off would have been fatal. The Satyam scam involved sophisticated accounting manipulations that fooled investors, auditors, and regulators for years. Here's how it worked. The Satyam scam, one of India's largest corporate frauds, involved the creation of fictitious revenues to inflate the company's financial performance. Here's a detailed look at how these fictitious revenues were generated and their impact on the company's financial statements. Satyam's management, led by Ramalinga Raju, created thousands of fake invoices to show higher sales revenue. These invoices were attributed to non-existent clients or services not provided. This process involved fake customer identities and super-user access. To support the fictitious revenues, Satyam also falsified bank statements and claimed interest income from non-existent fixed deposits. This included forged bank confirmations and non-existent FDs. The fictitious revenues significantly distorted Satyam's financial statements. Overstated revenues and profits. The company reported inflated revenues and profits to meet analyst expectations and maintain a high stock price. Inflated cash and bank balances. By showing fake interest income from non-existent FDs, Satyam artificially increased its cash and bank balances. The revelation of these fictitious revenues led to severe consequences for Satyam. That is, collapse of stock price. Once the fraud was exposed, Satyam's stock price plummeted, causing significant financial losses for investors. Illegal proceedings. Ramalinga Raju and other executives faced legal action, including arrest and conviction for their roles in the scam. Interestingly, Satyam even paid taxes on the fictitious income, including interest from non-existent FDs. This added another layer of complexity to the case, as the company had claimed tax deductions on fake business activities. The Satyam scam led to several arrests, primarily involving key figures in the company and those implicated in the fraud. Here's a detailed overview of who was arrested and the charges they faced. 1. Ramalinga Raju and Rama Raju. Ramalinga Raju, the founder and former chairman of Satyam, and his brother Rama Raju were arrested by the Andhra Pradesh police on January 9, 2009. They were charged with forgery, cheating, criminal conspiracy, and criminal breach of trust under the Indian Penal Code (IPC). Ramalinga Raju was sentenced to 7 years in prison and fined 5 Indian rupees crore. Rama Raju faced similar charges and penalties. 8 other individuals were found guilty of various offenses related to the scam. These included Vadlamani Srinivas, former chief financial officer of Satyam; Subrami Gopalakrishnan and T. Srinivas, former auditors from PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC; G. Ramankrishna, D. Venkatpathy Raju, and C. H. Srishalam, former employees of Satyam; V. S. Prabhakar Gupta, former internal chief auditor of Satyam. Charges included forgery of security, forgery for the purpose of cheating, and falsification of accounts under IPC sections 467, 468, 471, and 477A. CBI investigation. The Central Bureau of Investigation (CBI) took over the case in February 2009 and filed multiple charge sheets against the accused. The investigation revealed that the scam involved inflating profits and creating fictitious assets worth thousands of crores. Illegal proceedings. The trials were conducted by a special CBI court, which pronounced the verdicts in April 2015. The court found all accused guilty of various offenses related to the scam. The arrests and subsequent convictions marked a significant step in addressing corporate fraud in India. They highlighted the need for stricter corporate governance and auditing practices to prevent similar scams in the future. The arrests in the Satyam scam were pivotal in bringing those responsible for the fraud to justice. The legal proceedings underscored the importance of accountability in corporate India and led to reforms aimed at enhancing transparency and governance standards. The most immediate and visible impact of the Satyam scam was on shareholders and investors who suffered significant financial losses. Stock price crash. Following the confession by Ramalinga Raju, Satyam's stock price plummeted by over 75% in a single day. Shareholders lost billions as the company's valuation eroded almost overnight. A loss of trust. The scam shook investor confidence, not just in Satyam but also in other Indian IT companies. It raised questions about the reliability of corporate governance and financial disclosures in India. Class action lawsuits. Several lawsuits were filed by institutional investors and shareholders in India and abroad to recover their losses. The scandal highlighted the need for stronger investor protection mechanisms. Satyam employed over 50,000 people at the time of the scam, making them one of the largest groups affected. A job insecurity. Employees faced uncertainty about their future as the company struggled to stay afloat. Many feared layoffs or salary cuts due to Satyam's financial instability. Delayed salaries. During the crisis period, employees experienced delays in salary payments as the company faced a severe cash crunch. Reputation damage. Employees who worked for Satyam found it challenging to secure new jobs due to the stigma attached to the company's name after the fraud. Satyam had a global client base that included several Fortune 500 companies. The scandal severely impacted its relationships with these clients. A loss of trust. Clients lost trust in Satyam's ability to deliver services reliably. Many reevaluated their contracts with the company. Contract cancellations. Big clients like Cisco and Telstra terminated their agreements with Satyam after the fraud was exposed. Ripple effect. The loss of major clients further worsened Satyam's financial situation, creating a vicious cycle that made recovery even more difficult. Satyam's partner companies and affiliates were also collateral victims of the fraud. A reputation damage. Companies publicly associated with Satyam faced reputational risks, as they were seen as complicit or negligent for not detecting irregularities earlier. Financial losses. Partner firms that relied on Satyam for business faced disruptions and financial losses due to canceled projects and reduced trust in joint ventures. The role of auditors came under intense scrutiny following the scam, particularly PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, which was responsible for auditing Satyam's accounts. Negligence allegations. PwC claimed it was misled by falsified documents provided by Satyam's management. However, their failure to detect such a massive fraud over several years raised serious concerns about their auditing practices. Arrests. Senior PwC partners, including S. Gopalakrishnan and Srinivas Talluri, were arrested under charges of fraud and criminal conspiracy. Reputation damage. PwC's reputation took a significant hit globally, leading to stricter scrutiny of auditing firms in India. Banks that had provided loans to Satyam or accepted its shares as collateral faced financial risks due to the collapse in share value. Loan defaults. With Satyam's finances in disarray, banks worried about recovering their loans. Devaluation of collateral. The sudden drop in share prices rendered shares held as collateral nearly worthless, putting banks at risk of significant losses. The Indian IT sector as a whole suffered reputational damage due to the scandal. A loss of credibility. International clients began questioning the integrity of Indian IT companies and their corporate governance practices. Increased scrutiny. The scam led to heightened scrutiny from global regulators and clients, making it harder for Indian IT firms to secure new contracts. Recovery efforts. The government and industry bodies like NASSCOM had to work hard to restore confidence in India's IT sector. The Satyam scam served as a wake-up call for corporate governance reforms in India. Regulatory changes. SEBI introduced stricter disclosure norms for listed companies. The Companies Act was amended to include provisions for class action lawsuits and stricter auditing standards. Implementation of International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, was expedited. Board independence. The role of independent directors was redefined to ensure greater accountability. Separation of roles between CEOs and chairpersons became mandatory in many cases. Whistleblower policies. Companies were encouraged to adopt robust whistleblower mechanisms to detect fraudulent practices early. The Satyam scam had devastating consequences for all its stakeholders. Shareholders lost billions, employees faced job insecurity, clients terminated contracts, auditors were discredited, and partner companies suffered reputational damage. However, it also acted as a catalyst for much-needed reforms in corporate governance practices in India. While it remains one of India's darkest corporate chapters, its lessons continue to shape policies aimed at fostering transparency and accountability in business practices today. Amid this chaos, Tech Mahindra, a mid-tier IT firm, stepped in to rescue the beleaguered company. This acquisition not only saved Satyam, but also transformed Tech Mahindra into a major player in the global IT industry. Here's a detailed look at how Tech Mahindra orchestrated this remarkable turnaround. In January 2009, after the scandal broke, Satyam was placed under the management of a government-appointed caretaker board to stabilize operations and find a buyer. The acquisition process was competitive, with multiple bidders vying for control of the company. Key bidders. Tech Mahindra competed against Larsen & Toubro, L&T, and billionaire investor Wilbur Ross for the acquisition. Winning bid. On April 13, 2009, Tech Mahindra emerged as the highest bidder, offering 58 Indian rupees per share, approximately $1.16, valuing Satyam at $1.1 billion. This bid trumped L&T's 46 Indian rupees per share and Wilbur Ross's 20 Indian rupees per share. The acquisition was seen as a strategic move by Tech Mahindra to diversify its portfolio beyond telecom software services and enter new verticals like enterprise IT solutions. Tech Mahindra's total cost of acquiring Satyam amounted to approximately $580 million, which included preferential allotment. Tech Mahindra purchased 31% of Satyam's equity through a preferential allotment of 302.8 million shares for $352 million. Open offer. It later made an open offer to acquire an additional 20% stake in compliance with Indian regulations. Despite uncertainties surrounding legal liabilities and restatement of accounts, analysts viewed the price as fair given Satyam's strong customer base and global presence. Taking over a company mired in scandal was no easy task. Tech Mahindra faced several challenges. Satyam was embroiled in lawsuits from investors and clients who had suffered losses due to the fraud. Tech Mahindra reportedly spent over $200 million on legal fees to resolve these issues. Satyam's accounts for the previous 5 years had to be restated from scratch due to fraudulent bookkeeping. This process delayed operational stability and created uncertainty about the company's true financial health. With over 50,000 employees facing job insecurity, restoring confidence among the workforce was critical. Many employees were demoralized by the stigma attached to working for a scandal-hit company. Major clients like Cisco and Telstra had already terminated contracts with Satyam. Retaining existing clients and rebuilding trust became a top priority for Tech Mahindra. Under the leadership of Anand Mahindra, chairman of Mahindra Group, Vineet Nair, vice chairman, and C.P. Gurnani, CEO, Tech Mahindra implemented a comprehensive plan to revive Satyam. In June 2009, Satyam was rebranded as Mahindra Satyam, signaling a fresh start under new ownership. The new management prioritized transparency and ethical practices to restore stakeholder confidence. Independent directors were appointed, and robust internal controls were established. Senior executives personally met with key clients to reassure them about the company's stability and commitment. New business models were introduced to enhance service delivery and customer satisfaction. Tech Mahindra leveraged its expertise in telecom software services to integrate common support systems with Satyam. This helped reduce operating costs and improve efficiency across both entities. After stabilizing operations for 4 years, Mahindra Satyam officially merged with Tech Mahindra on June 11, 2013. The merger marked the final chapter in Satyam's recovery story. The merger received approvals from both the Andhra Pradesh High Court and Mumbai High Court despite opposition from some shareholders who disputed the terms of sale. Post-merger, the combined entity reported revenues of $2.7 billion and employed over 84,000 people across 46 countries. The merger allowed Tech Mahindra to diversify its customer base and significantly boost its global presence. The acquisition proved transformative for Tech Mahindra. Satyam contributed an additional $1.2 billion to Tech Mahindra's top line within 2 years of acquisition. Tech Mahindra rose from being India's 9th largest IT company in 2009 to 6th place by 2011-12, according to NASSCOM rankings. The acquisition reduced Tech Mahindra's dependency on telecom clients like BT Group by adding enterprise customers across industries such as manufacturing, healthcare, and banking. The rescue of Satyam by Tech Mahindra offers valuable lessons in crisis management and corporate turnarounds. Restoring trust requires complete transparency with stakeholders. Strong leadership played a pivotal role in navigating challenges post-acquisition. Despite initial risks, acquiring Satyam allowed Tech Mahindra to achieve long-term growth and diversification. Tech Mahindra's acquisition of Satyam is often cited as one of India's most successful corporate turnarounds. By addressing governance issues, rebuilding client trust, and leveraging operational synergies, Tech Mahindra not only saved a failing company, but also emerged stronger than ever before. Today, this story serves as an inspiring example of how ethical leadership and strategic vision can transform adversity into opportunity. A true phoenix rising from the ashes moment for Indian corporate history. The Satyam Scam, one of India's most significant corporate frauds, offers valuable lessons for businesses and regulators alike. Here are some key takeaways from this scandal. A weak governance. The Satyam Scam highlighted the dangers of poor corporate governance practices, including the failure to separate roles between the CEO and chairman, inadequate board oversight, and lack of transparency in financial reporting. Reforms. Post-Satyam, India strengthened its corporate governance framework, emphasizing the need for independent directors, robust audit committees, and stricter disclosure norms. Human greed. The scam underscored how human greed and ambition can lead to catastrophic consequences when ethics are compromised. A need for ethical leadership. It emphasized the importance of ethical leadership and a culture of integrity within organizations. Audit failures. The failure of auditors to detect the fraud highlighted weaknesses in auditing standards and regulatory oversight. Enhanced regulations. The Indian government and regulatory bodies like SEBI and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ICAI, tightened auditing norms and penalties for non-compliance. A loss of trust. The scam eroded investor confidence in Indian companies, emphasizing the need for stronger investor protection mechanisms. Reforms. Post-Satyam, investor protection laws were enhanced, though challenges persist in preventing fraud entirely. Importance of transparency. The Satyam Scam demonstrated the imperative of transparency in financial reporting and corporate operations. Accountability. It highlighted the need for accountability at all levels, from management to auditors, to prevent similar frauds. Unlike Enron, which collapsed due to agency problems, Satyam fell victim to tunneling, where assets were diverted for personal gain. This emphasizes the importance of robust internal controls to prevent asset diversion and ensure that corporate assets are used for their intended purposes. The scandal had global implications, affecting perceptions of Indian companies and prompting international regulatory bodies to scrutinize Indian firms more closely. Today, while Mahindra Satyam has moved past its tainted legacy under Tech Mahindra's leadership, the story of Ramalinga Raju serves as a stark reminder that ethical lapses can have catastrophic consequences. The fall of Satyam Computers is not just about numbers. It is about trust betrayed by those at the helm of power who prioritize personal gain over integrity. While regulatory reforms have strengthened India's corporate landscape since then, vigilance remains key to preventing similar frauds in the future. The question remains, can we ever fully trust corporations again? Perhaps not blindly, but with better checks and balances in place, we can certainly hope for more accountability moving forward.